Hi, this is Dr. Bondi, and I'd like to welcome you to a short video on task analysis, which is part of specialized instruction designed to close gaps in achievement or extend learning. Specialized instruction includes things like co-teaching, interventions, modifications, and accommodations. And task analysis is really one of the important tools in your toolbox to support you in doing all those things. You'll use task analysis to figure out how and where to provide modifications and accommodations, as well as to choose interventions that are most appropriate for your students. To begin task analysis, we think about a discrete behavior. A discrete behavior consists of a single step, for example, a yes-no response, writing a single letter, reading a word, or raising a hand to gain attention. To perform a more complex task, we'll put discrete behaviors together, and that's called a chain task. It consists of discrete behaviors that are linked together to form a more complex behavior, for example, linking several words together to read a sentence, or writing a series of letters to make a word, or getting ready for class, putting your coat away, turning in homework, completing a do now, getting lunch in the cafeteria, or changing and starting gym class. These are all chain tasks. They're complex behaviors with many discrete behaviors adding up to the more complex task. Forward chaining is when we teach the discrete behaviors, or the steps are taught in order, one step at a time. Forward chaining is used oftentimes in math. Single-digit addition comes before double-digit addition, teaching things in order. Backward chaining is where the steps are taught in reverse order, starting at the end and then backing up one step at a time until you end up at the beginning. A good example of backward chaining is sometimes a teacher will present a model of a completed project or a completed task, such as sharing a 5-paragraph essay if that's the ultimate goal, and then the teacher will, starting at the end with a completed sample of a 5-paragraph essay, teach each step backing out until the student starts with brainstorming their topic and getting ready to write the essay. Total task presentation is where the learner receives the instruction on all of the steps completing the task, and then the learner goes through and completes each task in a row individually. Modeling is an example of total task presentation. So there are 3 ways to teach a task that has been analyzed: forward chaining, backward chaining, and total task presentation. Now let's look at some examples of task analysis. Here we have a hierarchical analysis. Here the teacher wants to identify the prerequisite knowledge and skills and understanding necessary to complete a word problem in math, and so we're going to task analyze to solve any word problem in math involving multiplication or division and using numbers 1 to 100. Notice how the teacher has split the final task into 2 smaller tasks, organizing the information and identifying the problem if it's identifying the operation of the problem if it's multiplication or division, and then breaks each of those down all the way to the bottom where the smallest discrete task is actually being able to read the problem. This is very helpful because it gives the teacher specific points for pre-assessment, also to prepare materials for remediation for students who might need some of those prerequisite skills retaught and practiced. Finally, students can use this chart to monitor their own learning and understand the steps involved in the process. Another way to task analyze is to think about the information processing, or the thinking steps or decision-making steps that a student needs to make to answer a question or to solve a problem. For example, in this chart, the question is this shape a rhombus? And you can follow the shapes to see. First, the student will ask, is this figure a polygon? Yes or no. If yes, then they go on to the next feature of the shapes of a rhombus. This process is very helpful in literally making visible the decision-making process and the points at which a student has to make a decision to go on or to go a different way. Task analysis is a terrific tool to help with responding to diversity in the classroom by figuring out the steps involved in either a curriculum task or information processing. There are basically 4 ways that teachers can respond to diversity. The first is remediation, where the teacher continues to work on objectives from previous units that have not been mastered while moving forward into the next unit.